Welcome to the ThunderCast, your martial athletics podcast produced by the fans, for the fans, with your hosts, Russ Livingood and KD Hudnall. We're bringing you the thundering word on the thundering herd each and every week, so keep it right here. The ThunderCast is on the loose. Thanks for downloading another episode of the ThunderCast. You can follow us on Twitter at ThunderCast_pod. You can find also a link to ThunderCast.online in the descriptions to all of the episodes. And of course, every other social media link that we may have is available there as well. But it's getting to be that time of year to where folks are really interested more than normal about the transfer portal. We've talked about it in a couple of episodes here recently about the window opening and closing and how you would see more people entering. But now we're getting into that stretch to where you're going to start seeing more people come out of the portal. So I say that to say this, there's an excellent article link at ThunderCast.online that is our transfer portal tracker, both guys in, guys out, and a new category that Russ was forced to add, the in and out in the same cycle. But no, is it 100% accurate? No. We would like to think it's really, really accurate, but there's just people that we can't find everybody. You know, some guys just don't post. So
well, I can tell you real quick to piggyback off that, KD. I went in there and I told you about it as I'm updating and everything and doing some of the research. I found 7 guys that I didn't have listed, and you know they were depth pieces on the roster, but they had quietly they had done their part. It just had not been reported much on social media or anything, so it kind of lost in the weeds, and I went and added those on there. So it's about 95 to 99% accurate. You may have a stray out there that has arrived and hasn't announced it yet, or you may have someone that has entered the transfer portal and it just hasn't been circulated. You know, somebody maybe not even on scholarship or something like that has left the team. But I don't think that you'll find a more accurate thing anywhere online as comprehensive as what we've put together on the website.
Yeah. All I meant by that is there will always be players in and out that we don't see because maybe they just don't post. Maybe they're the type of guy that just doesn't want to post. And there will also be rumors of guys that are there or guys that are leaving. And we've heard Coach Huff talk about this before, like they want to protect some of those signings so they don't announce some of those signings until they can get a few extra T's crossed and a couple of I's dotted. But anyway, ThunderCast.online should be a bookmark site for any herd fan, not only for the transfer portal tracker, but there's just great content over there as well. Russ, we had a championship filled hiatus, or not a hiatus, like duration between our last episode. So I know we get to relive some of that kind of stuff. So let's get into the episode with a quick word from our sponsors at Leasure Oliver PLLC.
If you've been hurt in a wreck, call the law firm of Leasure Oliver PLLC. Find them at 304carwreck.com.
Now, we gave folks a precursor to what they might see, and I've got a feeling that some of the things that we talked about last show are going to be some of the things that we talk about this show. So, lay it on me. Give me at least 5 things that every herd fan needs to know this week.
Why don't we go for a Baker's 8?
Okay.
It's a new term right there. We are coming at you with 8 things every herd fan needs to know this week. As always, sponsored by Ignite Link, the Tri-State's premier IT management team. Number 1, I guarantee you this is what you were alluding to, at least partially. Bryce Blevins won his 4th Sun Belt Conference Pitcher of the Week last week.
Yeah, I called that one. I thought it might happen, and then it happened.
They delayed the announcement.
Yeah.
It's usually on a certain day.
What the hell? Damn it, man. We could have had that one on the last show, but 4 times.
No one else had ever done 3.
Right.
We said you said that rarefied air, one of one, 3 times, beat Aaron Blair, who had done it twice for conference player of the week as a pitcher or a player at all, I believe.
Yeah, any player.
Yeah, and now he's done it 4 times.
4 times. A stellar season, obviously. And of course, we mentioned that Bryce is going to be playing for the Cole Cats, which is also cool. So it's going to, no, that's
It
changed?
just changed. It changed.
Dang.
Yeah. So Bryce Blevins, this was not a thing, but
Damn
let's
it,
go ahead and
man.
talk about it. He will not be on the Cole Cats roster. Luke Creasy had reported that he was told the previous week that he was not going to be playing the entire 2 months anyway. He would be on a limited pitch count. So it's not like we're missing out on Bryce having like every other start or every 3 starts or whatever, for 7 to 9 innings. He was going to be on a limited pitch basis, but just came out last night that he will not be on the Cole Cats roster now.
Well, not surprising because I fell off the radar completely last night. There was a lot of stuff that I personally missed and have been playing catch up on. So that's not surprising that I missed that, but that's a bummer. I was looking forward to being able to continue to talk about him a little bit. That's not herd athletics, but it still kind of is because he's a herd player and that kind of stuff. But I don't care. Let's go back to 4-time Sunbelt Pitcher of the Week. That's unbelievable to me. And most people will look at the overall record of the herd and go, dang, they've had a really down year. I think a lot of folks expected that win-loss record to be a little bit better. We still know that it's a building process, and it probably will be for a couple of years. The Jack just opening up was another box that you get to check, and it was a big asset that you have to have, obviously, to be able to recruit at the levels that you want. But if you look at that overall record, and then you look at what Bryce Blevins did personally, you think, man, he was pitching his ass off a lot of times with very little run support. Right. Very little. So that just really meant that he had to stay even more dialed in. His margin for error was extremely small in several outings, and his personal win-loss record suffered for that.
Right.
But his individual pitching effort throughout the duration of the game was unbelievably awesome. So much of this struggle back and forth with records and what actually happened on a pitch by pitch basis.
Yep.
It doesn't tell the whole story, but the conference saw it the way it truly was. They're like, man, he was the best player or the best pitcher of the week 4 times. Probably could have had an argument to have had more, but he's not the only pitcher in the league that's really good. So just a phenomenal season. Obviously, phenomenal season for Bryce Blevins. I think Marshall fans should be really excited by the fact that he's just a sophomore and the potential to have him in Huntington for a couple of more years, continued development. Like, he's only going to get better, y'all. He's only going to get better. And of course, we've said this before, being a Louisa, Kentucky kid, he's right there in the shadows of the city of Huntington. This is his area. This is his region. Like, for all intents and purposes, he's Marshall born and bred. It's such a stone's throw from Huntington to Louisa. It's the easiest type of guy to cheer for. He's not West Virginia kid, but he's the closest damn thing you can have to a Huntingtonian without being a Huntingtonian.
Well, as someone that grew up in the southern part of the state and everything, right across the river from, and some parts close to where I live, Virginia and Kentucky and West Virginia are right on the river. And, that area just seems to be its own little geographical spot to where, a kid could be up in Wheeling or something or Martinsburg and he's a West Virginia kid, but someone that is this close to the area just feels more attached to me than someone that might be from West Virginia, but is like 3 hours away in a panhandle.
Right.
Nothing against those kids. It's just,
it just feels different.
Yeah, it feels different because that's where you grew up. It's just such a different pocket in the eastern Kentucky and southern West Virginia area that you just feel kind of a bond and an attachment of basically we grew up the same.
You get it. That's what it is. You just get it. It makes sense. Yeah.
Moving on to number 2, Brooklyn Ulrich made first team Sunbelt conference, all Sun Belt conference. Bella Gerlach makes second, and Sid Bickle makes second. 3 on the all Sun Belt conference teams.
Yeah. Is there another thing about softball, or do I need to piggyback off of that? Because I don't want to take away anything else, but Savannah Rice
There.
all tournament team too. They came out the same time.
Well, that was number 3, but
Okay, I didn't want to see. This is why I asked, but because I'm going to talk about it when we're going to talk.
Right
That's
now we're
going
doing number 2 and number 3 are now
yeah,
combined. So.
it's going to naturally come up when I talk about accolades that came out on the same sport. But I think we all knew that Brooklyn was destined for first team All Sun Belt Conference after the monster. Let's just call it what it is: breakout year. This was a breakout year. We talked about how she performed last year, and she told me at our tailgate like how it was different this year. It just felt a little different, and yeah, this was a breakout year for Brooklyn. From a power standpoint, from an RBI standpoint, defensively, she's always been good. So there was no real breakout there. It was more the offensive stats for her this year. Bella was, I can't accurately say like more than advertised because we didn't know. This is another one of those like you can't rely on the stats from the previous stop because we just didn't know what she was advertised to be. Came in and became a massive part of all of Marshall's offensive successes. And she and Brooklyn going nose to nose and trading punch for the home run lead with the team and the RBI lead with the team and all that kind of stuff. So, you have one player with a breakout year and you have a newcomer who we didn't know what we were going to have. But now moving forward, we know what to expect from Bella. I think that's a nice feather in the cap to be a newcomer to the conference, be second team all conference. And of course, Sid Bickle, first teamer last year, second teamer this year. We were looking ahead many, many months ago to a season preview, you and I just personally, we knew that Sid Bickle was going to be a focal point of a lot of what Marshall did, both defensively, which is, I believe, where she really, truly shines, is from a shortstop position where, I don't know, you could make the argument that it is the premier defensive position for a diamond sport. And she just performed well to an all-conference level. Of course, she's one of those that has the knack for hitting the triple. You don't earn the nickname Triple Bickle for nothing. So it was great to see her make an all-conference team, too. I think there were some other players that could have had an argument for landing on an all-conference team. But look, dude, Sun Belt Conference is just a gauntlet. There's a lot of talent. And it just shows you that you have to perform head and shoulders above the next closest person to get the nod. And we were thankful and fortunate enough to have 3 of them this year. So congratulations to those gals. So Sid Bickle is exhausted eligibility. She'll be done with the herd, but Brooklyn and Bella should be back for another year of raising hell at the dot.
All right, so Savannah came in 9 innings, I want to say, in that first game in relief, and then 7 in the other, or something like that. 16 innings in relief in the 2 games, and gave up 4 total runs, or maybe it was 15 innings, and whatever it was. It was a ridiculously good pitching performance, gutsy to come in, how she had to do in that game 1 win, to hold them so we could have a chance to come back and tie and then take the lead and then to hold on and win. And then really against an amazing offense in Texas State who went on to win, which we'll talk about, to come in and in the situation she had to come in that game, 3 batters in or 4 batters in, without an out recorded and having to go through that. It was just very gutsy pitching performance. I hate that we're not going to have her back on the, I keep saying on the mound. I'm a baseball guy, as you know, but back in the circle.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what we were missing as a team this year was, the Sid Nestor-esque person that you can put in there every other game and figure that they're going to give you 7 innings, and just give everyone else a chance to rest. So Savannah Rice last year could, just pitch on those off days and everything and really shine because she's had all that rest, not be overworked, because you had the workhorse pitcher that you could count on keeping it to 1 to 2 runs.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a big need this offseason to try to find that for next year as well.
Well, it's not just a big need, right? Because we saw what happens if you don't have that
Right.
ace.
Mm-hmm.
Savannah was really good this year. She was really good last year. I think she was 12-0 or 13-0 last year because she was fortunate enough to be able to pitch the midweeks and like the Saturdays, and Sid was in there your Friday, Sunday. Sid Nestor was your Friday, Sunday. So role reversal this year a little bit, Savannah and Bub really vied for that 1 and 1A pitcher. But Savannah had a really, really good season considering anyway. But it goes to show you how important it is that you have an ace pitcher. And now we're going to have to go find probably 2 if we can.
Yeah.
And that's of course not a slight to anybody else that will remain on the roster, but the more pitching depth you have, it's a direct correlation to your success on the diamond. It just is. So I've got now that we know that we'll have scholarships available for things that gals that are departing, there's going to be a little bit more flexibility with roster spots. Morgan and her staff will now have an entire off season and several portal cycles to go find the players that they want. So I think moving in as we look forward to next year, of course we can't look too far ahead because we don't know what the roster is yet, but I think you'll see more success from Morgan Zirkle and her staff in year 2, given that she'll have the opportunity to fill out more of a roster the way she wants to. But back to that gutsy pitching performance in the SBC championships. Wow, man. Wow. Savannah came in, like you said, 3-4 batters in, not an out recorded, and she just dug in and dialed in. And well, that was one for the ages. That was a really great pitching performance. Extra innings. I mean, come on, man. Come on. The later that game goes and you start to think, man, any one thing can end the game. It can be the deciding factor. And she just never she never let up. Never. And when Keisha Parks put the barrel to the ball and we took the lead, and then she ended up, I think, coming all the way around maybe, or coming in on the next, I don't remember what it was. I think she hit a triple or something, a pass ball, and she ended up scoring, and we went up by 2, I think. So we go to the bottom of the inning, and I'm thinking, all right, man, we just need 3 outs. And literally before I could get tweeting 1 down, we had recorded the second out. And it was that unbelievably clutch catch in foul territory by catcher Reagan Glantz. If you haven't seen that, guys, go find that freaking play. That was awesome. Just the concentration, the look on her face when she actually realized that she actually caught the ball. It didn't like pop out or anything. It was like wholesome as hell. And at that moment, I knew that game was ours. I knew that was it. Like the second out might as well have been the third out. I knew that we were going to win that game. And it was really great to see the Sun Belt Conference, when I don't know the conference coaches, whoever votes on it, place Savannah Rice on that all-tournament team, because it was riddled with Louisiana players, Texas State players, South Alabama, like teams that had won multiple games, and for a pitcher, no less, to go out and for a team that was bounced in the quarters to land on the all-tournament team, I think says a lot about the performance that she put out there, that everybody else appreciated that too, man. It was awesome. What a way to go out for her. I mean, that's one you could think, I mean, we played again, obviously, but that's a great memory, that effort. And I'll tell you what, we have never talked about this. At least I've never talked about this. I think Savannah Rice has the coolest freaking pitching windup that I've ever seen, man. Because she she hunkers down real low, and it's kind of, it's so cool. It's not like what I consider a typical softball pitching windup. Like, I'm not an expert, obviously, but hers is just different, and I think it's so cool. It's like, how do we keep finding these unique type things? It's Savannah Rice's pitching windup. It's Owen Porter's celebration. It's all that kind of stuff. It's just on a different level of cool. And I just think that's really cool. But I'm really happy for her that she landed on the all tournament team. That was freaking awesome, man.
Number 4 is Paige Banton is to compete at the 2024 Canadian Olympic and Paralympic trials. She will be in 2 events. 100-meter breaststroke was on 5:14, and the 200-meter breaststroke will be on 5:17. I have her results. She did make it to the finals, and she was last in her division in the finals. But making it there,
yeah,
is much less qualifying to be in one of the finals. Making it there is the story, and of course,
yeah, no doubt,
she still has the 200-meter breaststroke to go here in a few days.
Yeah, like this is not to me like in the same realm as like being nominated is just as good as winning the award. No, it's not. Okay, first of all, winning the award is always better than just being nominated. But this ain't that. Yeah. Just like I would even go a couple levels down. Like, just ending up on a preliminary list of people you may want to contact to be a part of Olympic trials, I think is freaking cool. Mm-hmm. But then to actually go and compete and then to actually make it to a finals, you're right. That's the story, man, because you start to filter out all kinds of competitive swimmers and divers when you get to these type of levels. That is unbelievably cool. And honestly, after the season that Paige had, I don't think that too many people should be surprised. If you've been paying attention to our show, been paying attention to Swim and Dive, that they've had great season as a team and individually.
Individually too, yeah.
So I don't think anybody should be caught off guard by that. No. Because you should almost expect it. And honestly, I think moving forward, you should expect more of this year in and year out, because that's what Coach Ian Walsh is bringing to the herd from a talent standpoint, from a player standpoint. You're bringing in Olympic type caliber athletes, and that is the other story that we're not talking about as much, but very cool for Paige.
Number 5, John Purvis breaks the school record in men's shot put that was set all the way back in 1980.
Whoa.
He came in 5th in the Sun Belt with that throw, but breaking a record that was here from 1980. And yes, we had a lull in
so there. So what?
When you go back to 1980, you can't say, well, you had that lull. Well, it was only 2004 or 2005, somewhere around there, 2003 even. You're already 20 plus years, that it had not been broken. I've got a little tidbit for you that I don't think that that I'm gonna say here in a minute, but go ahead and give me some thoughts on this.
A record basically as old as I am? Damn. That's about all I want to say. Like, you're right. A lull doesn't matter because you had 20 plus years to get it broken and it didn't happen. Mm-hmm. So I don't care about 5th in the conference. Don't care. Obviously, I'd like to have seen him land on a podium by breaking a school record. That would have been a little icing on the cake, but smashing a 40 plus year old record, that doesn't happen every day. We see a lot of records, and it doesn't matter what sport we're talking about. You just don't see a lot of 40 some year old records get broken, because here recently across a lot of sports and a lot of individual performances in a lot of categories, we've seen a lot of records fall, and especially just in the short time we've been doing this show. I don't even want to think about how many times we've talked about any record being broken. I would feel comfortable saying, I bet you we've talked about 50 different records being broken or rebroken. And of course, Abby Herring is most of that, but still 20 some years to have an opportunity to break a record. You didn't do it. And now it gets broken in 2024, some 40 plus years later. Yeah, that is cause for a little round of applause. 40-year record. Damn.
All right. So here's the tidbit that I'm going to hit you with. And I had teetered on putting this as a thing the last couple of weeks, but let me give you a little bit of context first on
Okay.
Purvis's record. 17.54 meters, and that translates out to 57 and a half feet, basically, a little bit more than 57 and a half feet. And it broke the record here considerably by half a meter. Michael Lunsford,
Yep.
incoming defensive lineman. Do you know where I'm going with this?
I do not, but I can connect some dots.
So he throws shot put in college at Cabell Mid, or I mean, in high school at Cabell Midland.
Mm-hmm.
He just broke in late April the record set by Olympian Randy Barnes, the West Virginia record. This is a high school kid
Yeah.
that broke the record that was set by Randy Barnes back in 1985, an Olympian.
Yeah.
With a throw of 68 and 1/2 feet.
God.
A full 11 feet longer than the record that we are just talking about that John Purvis now holds.
Wow. And
incoming defensive lineman that will most likely do this.
Oh yeah.
If
he doesn't, we got a real problem.
Yeah.
Like, coach got to be in the office. Is like, listen, Huff, we don't need him often, but we need him.
Well, I feel like it's like with Moss with running. You just say, hey, can we get him? Somebody take him over.
Can we bum him for an afternoon?
Yeah. All we need is like 5 minutes. Just let him spin around, throw the shot, and then go right back. But that's not all. Obviously, you think, okay, Purvis finished 5th,
mm-hmm.
and he had that throw, and it broke a record and everything. He would have shattered the Sun Belt gold medal this year by almost 8 full feet.
What?
It was like I'm telling you, if you look up the results, it was between 60 and 62 feet or something like that. He would have thrown it several feet farther. And Lunsford, when he broke the record, said, now my next focus is 70 feet.
Wow. You know what? I want to just rewind for a second because you said Olympian Randy
Barnes. Yeah.
Gold medalist.
Yes.
Randy Barnes. So that's what folks need to know. It's not like you went and you competed. No. You won the gold medal. I think he's from St. Albans or something.
Yeah.
By the way, that is astonishing. Like that type of, it's almost like you were put on the planet to throw shot, because like, I don't know shit about that. You know what I mean? Like, look at me. I'm not throwing a shot put like 10 feet, but it's like, it's almost like how you can look at a very slender baseball player that just has unbelievable power. And you're thinking, how is that crammed into that little, player? And it's like this type of thing. It's like, man, you've got just this natural ability to throw shot. That's wild. I would not have known that. I would have been surprised to hear that when we're talking about these track season next year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so,
look out freaking record book. It took 40 years to break. Now it's looking like maybe it won't last a year or two.
And that's kind of what I was getting at. He comes in as a true freshman and he goes over there and throws. And even if he has a not up to his personal best, the likelihood that he still shatters that record when he's already that far ahead of it, is likely. Now, the current world record is a lot higher. It's a full 3 meters, 9 to close to 10 feet higher than or further than what Michael Lunsford is doing. But when you think of the context of bringing in players that played in multiple sports, so usually they have the most success, and you think of someone's success in another thing that they did and how it can translate to their job. I believe it was Sebastian Johansson, big Swede, years ago that did sumo, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe
it was something. There was something somebody did. If it wasn't sumo, it was. They were a big wrestler or whatever, but they were on the offensive line. And you talked about the leverage that you needed to have and the explosiveness and all that. So you think now on the defensive line, the strength to be able to do this, the balance to be able to do this, the explosiveness to be able to do this, to beat an Olympian's state record.
Yeah.
Michael Lunsford looks like he is somebody that should be on our radar in the coming years. After coming here, we talk all the time about needing to come in and get someone in a weight program at a collegiate level so they can get up. This kid just broke an Olympian's record for the state. So it looks like he's going to have a pretty good base to build on.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, we don't know how the training goes at Cabell
Sure.
Midland. We don't
Right.
know. But you're right. You would think that just with natural development,
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get bigger, stronger. I mean, incoming freshman, you're going to get bigger. You're not done growing. And like just as a human, you're not done growing. So you could be, I don't want to put the cart before the horse. I'm not trying to put any undue pressure on anybody, but
Mm-hmm.
you could be looking at an Olympian. You could be, if he continues to develop and, progress, and he's already throwing this well as a young kid, you could be looking at the next Marshall Olympian,
Mm-hmm.
which would be really cool. And I'm not trying to put any undue pressure, not trying to put none of that, but it's just cool to think about that could be, that could happen. So, wow, something to keep an eye on for sure.
Number 6, we're talking records. Let's keep it going. Owen Ayers ties the school record for doubles with 23. On this one, you have to go all the way back to last season.
Wow.
When that record was set by Owen Ayers.
Okay, well, we had triple Bickle. I can't really work in a nice, double Owen, I guess. That doesn't really roll off the tongue the same way, but that's pretty wild. I wouldn't have. Having a knack to hit the double is kind of weird, but cool nonetheless.
Well, it's one of those things too that if you study the game of baseball and you see someone that has what they call not warning track power, but extra base power and doubles power, gap power, that sort of thing. That is another thing that can develop going to the next level that people are looking at. If you hit a lot of extra base hits and they're doubles, they're like, well, just a little bit more lower body strength or just a little tweak to their swing here and there, put on an extra 15 pounds of muscle, that sort of thing. You're looking at someone that can be tapped for. This guy has a potential power position in the minors, in the majors, that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
hitting a lot of doubles is indicative of having some good power. You obviously have to hit it far enough to be able to run 180 feet, but also being able to find that gap either in the power alleys or down the lines, however it is that you're going to get there, or over a fielder's head, off the wall, ground rule double. So for him to do this consistently, 23 last year to set the record, 23 so far this year, because we still have 3 games to play, he could break his own record in a very miniature Abby Herring way, break it and then immediately re-break it.
Yeah. Jeez, but still, I wonder what the career. I wonder how many doubles you have to have that. I don't know. I have to look that up. I like knowing that kind of stuff.
For Marshall to see what the record is. I'll find it and we can tweet it out.
Yeah, I like to know that kind of stuff.
I've got the record books, but it's not reflected for this year, so I just have to go add this year's stats and everything. But it wouldn't be hard.
Gotcha.
All right, number 8. Marshall announced the Cabell commitment. Students with a 2.5 GPA in Cabell County are automatically accepted to Marshall with streamlined enrollment. Do not have to apply or anything. You just, here's
check the boxes. You meet the criteria.
Here's the grades. Here's streamlined enrollment. And I feel like that is huge for Marshall to bring in more metro and tri-state area enrollment.
Yeah, that's honestly some type of thing that should be done anyway. It just seems like it would be a big benefit to Marshall to streamline that process, to make it transparent to, you should never be in a scenario, any student should never be in a scenario where like if two students both have the same criteria, but one gets in and one doesn't. That's wild to me. I don't know if that would actually exist like at a school like Marshall. But I remember, I haven't had to dig into college applications or anything in a long time. But I remember when I was coming out of high school, they at the time, I don't know if they still have this, but at the time I filled out one application and paid one application fee, and it was good at like, I don't know, 5 or 6 public universities in West Virginia. So, and I thought, thanks, because that's handy, and it was way cheaper than filling out,
Sure.
6 or 7 different applications. I didn't have to fill out all the information 7 times, but this is even better. Now that everything has moved online, or a lot of it has moved online. I'm still talking about ink and paper, for crying out loud. But just being able to look at the criteria and you go, I meet it.
Yeah.
Great. Even if you don't plan to go to a particular school, knowing that you can just apply and be accepted and get that out of the way is great. This is a good move, honestly, for Marshall.
It's a good move in a long line of great moves by Brad Smith. And, enrollment is already up, and we keep adding different programs, different buildings, things that are on the horizon, with construction ready to kick off any month now on the cybersecurity division. It's so exciting right now with Marshall. And that was technically number 7. I had skipped a number in my head. And number 8, I'm going to piggyback off of number 7 and say Marshall Flight School has a freaking helicopter.
The swag level is going through the roof. Not only do you have a helicopter, you have a kick-ass paint job on a helicopter.
Second best helicopter in the history of helicopters. And number 1 is not going to be touched. It's Airwolf. We all know it. Doesn't matter who's flying it. It's Airwolf. It's number 1.
Yeah, and our good buddy Dave Schultz asked who's going to get the first flight, and I'm like, well, I mean, they could come down here to Florida if they want and take me back, but I'm sure that's already happened, obviously. But immediately when I saw that, I know this is for the flight school and everything, but what rolled through my head was this kind of like Reservoir Dogs slow motion walk scene of like Coach Huff walking from a helicopter, as it landed on some football field somewhere. It was like his suit coat, blowing with the. That's what I got in my head. And
what
I'm thinking,
you are describing is actually the video for when on wrestling. Coach Huff's a huge wrestling fan. Evolution with Ric Flair and Triple H and Batista and Randy Orton. They landed on a helicopter and they get out in the suits, and it's in slow motion as they walk forward like Reservoir Dogs. So I think that we should recreate that. And
Stan, Rodney, like this is hype video, like chef's kissness right here, man.
I mean, you land that thing and have Coach Huff get out, and maybe we had to pay royalties to the Motorhead theme, of Evolution, but it's worth it. I'll chip in on it.
Well, I just think it'd be worth it. I think if a hype video doesn't have something like that this year, we're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we're doing it wrong. That's got to be incorporated. And who am I to tell these unbelievably creative gentlemen how to do their job, right? I'm sure that once they knew that item was secured and pictures started floating around, I'm sure their gears just started turning about like, oh yeah, we can do some cool stuff with this. But I'm just saying, that's what I saw. As soon as I saw the first still photo of that, I saw Coach Huff slow walking away, from the helicopter with the suit jacket flying. I thought that was so damn cool. That is a sharp looking helicopter, man.
And I'm just saying, if they ever want to take me to an away game, I'm up for it. If they ever want to take me to wherever, I'm up for it. But I will be blasting the theme from Airwolf the entire ride. All right, that does it for 8 things this week. Every Herd fan needs to know, as always, brought to you by our friends at Ignite Link.
Okay, I gotta say it. I'm shocked. I'm utterly shocked. We did 8 things and we did not talk about the gold medals. I know they're coming up, but shocked. So
I intentionally held that for those.
let's move into. I'm assuming we're going to do another portal update
Yep.
kind of deal. We had a little movement here and there, so let's roll into that.
Yeah, and it's all incoming this time. We don't need to talk about anybody that has only been here for 3 days transferring back out. So go down the list, and then we can talk about them individually if you want to. Got Raquan Thompson, defensive lineman from UTEP. DeJavion DJ Stepney, safety from Central Michigan. Dylan Davis, defensive lineman from Illinois. Jude Okolo, defensive lineman from Florida Atlantic, and Olasun Conme, and he goes by Sue Aganloye, defensive lineman from Virginia.
Did you notice a theme?
A lot of defensive linemen and a couple of names that I'm not sure how to pronounce.
Yeah, a very, very, very heavy defensive presence in this latest round. Not surprising. We've seen defensive linemen hit the portal lately. We've seen a lot of linebackers hit the portal lately. So obviously there's a need, and always it's not only about addressing a need, but it's also about upgrading an overall room always. And of course we can't really talk about how these guys will translate to what we're doing with the herd. We have no idea, right? But all you can do is understand that that's what the goal is for each individual position coach. It's like if you see an opportunity to make your room better, you go make your room better, right? Despite all of the years of the transfer portal being a thing and the multiple cycles per year, I still think that some fans have a problem understanding that not every entrant into the transfer portal is a voluntary thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, yeah, they're choosing to go, but it's probably based off of a conversation like, hey,
Yep.
you might want to look for another opportunity. Doesn't look like much playing time for you here.
Yep.
Sometimes it's about finding a scholarship opportunity when
Mm-hmm.
you're a walk-on. There are so many things. It's not always about, I hate it here. The whole ship is going down in flames. I'm out of here.
Yeah,
And
especially because of you, Mr. Fan. It's all you. I don't like you. That's how it seems like some people take it.
sometimes. So you've got to understand that it's a business and it's a two-way street, right?
Mm-hmm.
As much as we don't want it to be a business, it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's landscape world-changing legislation in the federal government right now that is telling you it is a business. So these are things that you have to be conscious of. These coaches, their livelihood depends on winning more than anybody else. Players' livelihoods don't necessarily depend on winning. Theirs depends on individual performance a lot of times. So if there's an opportunity that exists to make your room better, you're going to make your room better. So it's about identifying the need and then upgrading the overall position group. And we'll know more about that, obviously, after the summer. And we'll know even more about that a couple of games into the season.
And here's a short little add-on to what you said there. These are still college students that we're talking about. They are here because they are enrolled at Marshall University, and that is a prerequisite. We're not talking about someone that, well, we brought someone over for NIL and all that. They still are here at Marshall University to study and get a degree or further their studies. And I think that's lost on some people as we've gotten deeper into the NIL and the transfer portal and everything. But let's take the athlete part of student athlete away for a second. And we say that someone is 3 years in at Marshall University, and for whatever reason, they want to transfer to a different college, and maybe they feel like they could do better as an engineer graduating from there, or, go here for this or whatever. Where are all we as fans yelling and saying they shouldn't do that? They should have a loyalty to this university. Mm-hmm. We don't. We just say, oh yeah, that's normal. Some of the fans that complain about this might have done the very same thing. They might have started at Marshall and ended up going to West Virginia State or something like that. And it's maybe lost on people a little bit that we're talking about college athletes here, but they're college students first. They have to be a college student here before they can be an athlete here. And they have every right to transfer for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks because we are passionate about our sports teams, but we shouldn't take that out on these individuals for wanting to further themselves somewhere else.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. I'm not trying to pile on.
Mm-hmm.
I say fans can be who they want to be.
Absolutely,
They can. They
Yeah.
can. But it's also the same folks that are like roasting a guy on his way out of town are the first ones at the front of the line with their arms open when a guy commits.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they're like, hell yeah, you know. And I'm like, man, that's just like, I'm not telling you to like curb your enthusiasm. I'm just saying, like, do you have to be at both extremes? Like, both? You can be super happy when a guy comes, but why do you have to be on the complete opposite end of the spectrum when somebody chooses to leave? You know, because again, like I just said, you don't know why. You know, it's not like I hate Marshall, I'm out of here now.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you don't know why. So just you know, just chill a little bit.
Let's talk briefly about these because I dug into their stories again. You already said it. You can find out their bios and their history over on ThunderCast.online.
Yeah.
Let's talk real quick because this is a great story. Dylan Davis, defensive lineman for Illinois, he was at Furman and was Phil Steele's first team All-American as an offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
And then he transfers to Illinois and he redshirts a year. And while he's doing that, he plays a little bit of special teams, offensive line. The very next spring, he transitions into being a defensive lineman. So this guy has been a defensive lineman less than a year. He's got some great size, 6'4", over 300 pounds. You would have to think that he would know some of the techniques coming from an offensive lineman since he was one for probably all of his life or the majority of his life, and doing it at a high level. So I just think that's a pretty cool story.
It is, and I might add a little context to that. He was not just an All-American; he was a first-team All-American.
I said first-team All-American.
I thought you just said Phil Steele All-American. Anyway,
replay the tape, KD.
I don't want to do that anyway. But we also don't know that he's coming here to play defensive line exclusively.
I would say he is just because on his commitment thing,
right.
he tagged all the defensive, Coach Seymour, Coach Street.
Just exclusively.
Sure.
So there could be an emergency offensive line type scenario. You know, you get versatility of a player that has done it at a Division I level, you know, so it stands to reason like you get it a little dinged up and you're getting thin at the offensive line. Yeah, you got a guy that was an FCS first-team All-American right there playing D-line. You know, you might have to make some choices there. It's a good problem to have. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, that's a really cool story. You know, I don't know. There are some older fans, some Southern Conference fans that are going to be like, Furman. Huh.
Yeah.
You know, that still kind of like sticks in the craw a little bit, but
it rhymes with vermin.
But I think that's a win, right? It's like, oh yeah, you took one of their best players, like via Illinois, but ultimately the herd got a shot in at Furman, you know, through Illinois.
Other story here, Central Michigan, DJ Stepney, he had some good P4, P5, even though I hate that term. He had some offers from there, ultimately went to Central Michigan. He played a little bit of running back, a little bit of wide receiver. Catching out of the backfield, but playing receiver, and also returned punts and kicks. While being a safety for them. Now, he didn't do it at all in 2023, but he has a history of doing that, and he did it at a level to where he was third-team MAC as a kick returner.
Yep, third-team All-MAC a couple of years ago. Pretty cool. Another versatile player that might fill a couple of roles depending how it all shakes out. You know, annually, to me, it is other than last year, historically, it's just too hard to project who will be your kick returners and punt returners because you just never really know. Like last year, it was going to be Jaden Harrison. We knew that. But just a guy that you have to put him in the category that could be the guy, you know, could be the guy. And a Central Michigan guy, we got a pretty impactful player from there a year ago, Conley, and you know that I'm sure those guys know each other and a little bit of a reunion of former teammates type of deal. So I like it. That's versatility across multiple phases. That's a good problem to have. I'm
We
gonna keep
also
saying that.
we also just a month ago or around a month ago picked up an offensive lineman from Central Michigan. It was a
Mhm.
teammate, Aiden DeCourt. So
That's right.
um, another story here too. Sue, which I cannot wait for Sue Aganloye. I want him at some point to sack a quarterback and say, "My name is Sue. How do
Yeah.
you do? You're gonna die." But anyway,
Well, I tell you what, that will fall on whoever's in charge of the music at the Joan to have that queued up and ready to go.
yeah. But he was poised to play a very big role on the defensive line. Former teammate of Herd
Mike Green.
Newcomer Mike Green from last year.
Mm-hmm.
Against Tennessee in the opening game, he had a half sack, an assisted sack, and then fumble recovery on the punt return early in the game. As they're leaving the field from there, a freak accident. He slipped on the surface and blew out his patella on both knees. So he has now rehabbed and is moving on. But big impact player for Virginia coming here now.
Yeah, two guys now that could potentially be starting together. Well, not I won't say starting, playing together across the Herd defensive line, and we are both in agreement that we think this is the year
Mike
for Mike
Green.
Green
Yeah.
to burst on the scene, so to speak, on a Sun Belt Conference level, maybe a little bit to a national level if he has a monster game like Owen Porter at JMU a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But we think that Mike Green is going to be the big edge weapon for Marshall this year, and to have a guy like that was poised to be a big impact player for the
Yeah.
Cavs again, just something that Marshall might be able to reap the benefits of.
Mhm.
You know, maybe like on their roster, I was looking on their roster. He was a senior last year, so.
Mhm.
Assuming this is a grad transfer type scenario, don't know if there's 1 or 2 years remaining.
There's 2.
Okay, 2 years. That's good. That's good. So that means that we might be able to see the combo of these two for a couple of years. So this is cool, man. The potential there to have a really, really big impact player to go along with Mike Green and the other guys that are on the line, obviously. Yeah, I like it. I really do.
And I don't want to downplay these other 2 guys. I was just highlighting some unique stories. Everyone's got a story, and I thought those were pretty good. But you said it earlier, heavy on the defensive line. I feel like we're now going to see heavy on the linebacker situation coming in, just because we had some attrition there that we need to bring some in for depth and everything.
Yeah, but I also have come to trust that Huff and the staff always keep that late announcing ace in the hole.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it doesn't. It might not be a linebacker this year, but it might be. You know, so I expect that our roster, obviously, it has not been solidified completely this early in a season in a long time. So I fully expect that we'll continue to see commitments even into the summer, because that's just what we've seen. So, you're going to have more opportunities to, I guess, get that splash type prospect, that some people really like seeing. Some people really, really enjoy seeing a prospect from just a big school. That brings an interesting data point, I guess, like how folks will again still be going like, well, they had no stats at their previous school. Well, they could have no stats and come from school X, and people are like, psh. Or they could have no stats and come from a school like, I don't know, big school, enter big name school here, and they're like, oh God, yes, this is going to be like defense transformative player. And I'm like,
yeah,
it's the same thing, man. You're like, you don't know what the recruiting process was for both guys coming out of high school. They could be the same player, or the small school guy could be even better. You just don't know. So that kind of stuff makes me laugh, man. I don't know. I know where I try to be a little bit more level-headed when it comes to recruiting, especially now where you're seeing guys come in and leave in the same cycle. Yeah. I mean, that sucks, but the two extremes just always continue to crack me up. Like super over the moon when they show up and they're going to change the game for the herd, and every player that comes in is going to be the answer to everything. And then when they leave, it's like, God, what is going on in Huntington? Like, fire everybody. This is terrible. We can't keep a team. Like, come on, man, just whatever.
That's all I have for these transfer portal news bits. So you want me to take it around the herd?
Yeah, man, let's roll.
Let's start with women's soccer. We got commitments from Amy Kamori from Japan and Amelia Compston, slightly closer from Sissonville.
Yeah, just
a little bit.
Just edged it out. Yeah. So I guess it's going to be that time, right? I don't know if it was a signing day or we just happened to put out a flurry all at one time. I don't know. But
I think that it took a couple of weeks after Coach Samoa's was named that he actually got to hit the recruiting trail hard. And I think from here until the season starts, you're just going to see a bevy of signings and everything. They have to kind of rebuild the roster, you know?
They definitely have to rebuild the roster. And of course, now it looks like we're recruiting. It looks like the philosophy is going to be a more global approach.
It is. It is.
And those things just take longer. There's more paperwork than a kid from Sissonville, you know? So,
and be prepared to not have any information on these or very limited information on these players. We say it all the time, but it's going to be more so in women's soccer from an international flavor than it would be, women's soccer here locally, where, you can look up high school stats from right down the road in Sissonville. It's probably going to be a lot harder to find information on someone from Japan.
Yeah, but I think it's time that that a little bit more excitement starts to get built around women's soccer. And a lot of that is because of the pressure that's coming over from the other side of the soccer programs at Marshall. Men's is just such at a high level. Now we want to see our women's get elevated. And, we know it's going to take a little bit of time, but I just think a little bit of excitement needs injected into that program. And we're starting to see it. The announcement of commitments is a great way to get that going, and of course it continues to build if you go into the season and you start to do really well and you're winning exciting matches or you're just even playing exciting soccer in close losses or in highly contested losses, because it's just, a step. But I think women's soccer is the program at Marshall that I feel like gets, maybe it's just personal viewpoint, that I feel like gets the worst amount of like pressure from the other program. Like men's and women's basketball, not really. Baseball and softball, not really. But it feels like, well, men's soccer is winning the hell out of some stuff, so we need to get off the mat a little bit in women's soccer and do some things. And maybe that's just my personal viewpoint, but it feels that way a little bit. And I think a lot of that comes from me just hoping that they turn a corner and start to succeed, a little bit. But I'll take a bevy. It was like three or four prospects over the last couple of shows we've talked about.
4 in the last 2 shows.
Yeah.
Over to men's basketball. It is official now. We talked about it as a thing last week, and we said that it was not official. But Rob Fulford has now officially been hired and will be an associate head coach here for men's basketball.
Yep, it was all a matter of just the official announcement coming out. There was so much smoke around this story that it was as true as you could put out there without an official announcement. And that's just not how we roll. So we weren't going to rubber stamp it done until until the university said so. But I will tell you this, in the short amount of time that announcement came out till the time we're recording now, this has been resoundingly positively accepted by the fan base. I think a lot of people are excited by this, more so than just your normal assistant coach hire.
Yeah.
And for a lot of the reasons that we said last week. He's recruits at a high level. He's from the area. He knows how to recruit to the area, which is a big deal. You just talked about it a little bit ago when we were talking about Bryce Blevins. You just get it when you're from here, and you have to get it to understand how to make it work here. And Coach Fulford gets it, and he led Huntington Prep to huge heights, signing some of the biggest recruits or players that program ever saw during his tenure. I mean, if somebody is so motivated, they can look it up if they want to, but I remember living in Huntington during that time, and I remember going to some of those games. And
I remember Kyler getting Andrew Wiggins' signature and photo with him.
Yeah. So that's the type of thing. So if you remember that, like that was the Coach Fulford era, and it just wasn't Andrew Wiggins. That team was littered with big time talent.
George A. Ding, who went to Louisville, and I kept hoping that he would play here, but we've had lottery picks, we've had all kinds of things coming through here from that team, and he definitely has the ties here. He graduated from Marshall in '97, right as we're coming in. It's an exciting hire. It really
for sure.
is. Yeah,
for
just
sure.
on the recruiting and everything, and coaches coach, recruits recruit, and players play. And if you're a recruiter, you're a recruiter. If you're a coach, you're a coach, and he's done both.
Yeah. So I think this is one of those that you should see almost immediate impact. It may not.
I think we already have. You said it last week with Michael Dawson.
Yeah. And now it may not continue with more commitments this season because up until recently he was at Akron. So he's building a lot of relationships with people going to that part of the country. So the immediate impact could be, you could still get some, for this season, could be for the next recruiting cycle. But I don't care. Unequivocally, I think the majority of Herd fans that care about men's basketball are excited about Rob Fulford being hired.
All right, let's talk about track and field.
Hey,
I purposely did not put these as things because, we've talked about it a lot, but I wanted to give it some extra shine and extra talk here on Around the Herd. So the women placed 5th, which is their highest since 2013, and the men placed 10th at the Sun Belt Conference Outdoor Championships. Keep in mind, we still do not have any men's scholarship athletes. They are all here as walk-ons, no scholarships yet, as they continue to try to rebuild this program. Reintroduced it, and they're building it up. So don't get upset at 10th. I think that's still an improvement over where they were in the previous 2 years since coming back. Abby Herring wins gold in the 5K. I think
running away from the competition, by the way, running away.
I think we all expected that, including everyone in the Sun Belt. And that is just one more notch on what you already said on Twitter. That is an obvious Hall of Fame career. I mean, when you look at the records broken, that alone is that if she somehow stumbled to last place in every event in these outdoor championships, still a Hall of Fame career.
Yeah.
If she doesn't break half the records that she broke, still a Hall of Fame career. The fact that she just continued, and at one time the number was 26, and then by the time we got done recording, I think she had already broken another. And we're talking, and that was when we were preparing to have her on the show. And the hot sheet that came in, from our friend David O'Leary, who had all this information, was, hey, here's the 26 records. And then by the time she comes on the show, we're like, hey, here's the 28 records. And that's, kind of where that commercial came from, with Marco that we talked about last week of, Abby's records. But just throwing on the very end, throwing a gold medal in an event in your conference tournament, icing on the cake for her career here at Marshall.
Hell yeah. I thought she was going to get 2.
I did too. And we'll talk about that.
I don't think I can't accurately 100% say this, but I don't think that it ultimately mattered to her. Of course you want to win a championship, but you said it. She could have fallen and crawled to last place. Now that's not how you want to go out. And ultimately, I think if you're going to win one, which she won, you want to win the last event that you're going to race in. So you're going to go out a champion, that's cool. That is the period at the end of a storybook career, bringing gold in your last event. That's awesome, man. That's the coolest shit that I think we have talked about in the entire duration of this show, because we followed her career so closely. And now we get to talk about this final championship that is the literal period at the last sentence in a Hall of Fame historic Marshall career that we watched in real time. And I can't say that often. I mean, I can for some football players and stuff like that. But if you take football aside, if you take men's basketball aside, and I just start talking in context of Olympic sports and all of the other sports that Marshall, where I didn't pay that close attention until we really dove into this show and started doing. Abby is the top career that I watched in real time and saw these achievements over and over and over and over. And we only saw about 60% of her career, Slam dunk Hall of Fame herd athlete. It'll be an utter travesty if whoever is on that voting committee in 10 years does not vote her first ballot Hall of Fame herd athlete. Like you're just not doing the job the right way if she's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, because her resume, I would like to think you could put up against anybody.
Yeah.
Across any sport.
Yeah, you just talk about, just don't say what the records are, and just say holds this many records in their sport, and you're like, nobody can touch that.
It's got to be close to like 3 dozen. Got to be, because when we had the interview, you were right, it was close to 30, and some of her records have been rebroken. So I bet you she's broken or rebroken close to 3 dozen records at Marshall, including. The joke that I love is that she holds the record for breaking the most records at Marshall, which in and of itself should be enough criteria to be a Hall of Famer. But
and I think it was 3 shows in a row. So 3 weeks in a row, she broke her own record in the same event.
Yeah.
Let's talk about these others though, because that wasn't all. Kylie Maston wins gold in the 1500 meters.
Shocker. Again. Running away from everyone, like leaving no doubt type of thing. These two
lapping people.
Yeah, I tell you, like these two, I think it's almost like it's like a Pennington to Moss scenario. It's like a Leftwich to Watts. It's like Cato to Schuler. You'll say, Maston and Herring. They're such an unbelievably high achieving duo that achieve in individual sports. So yeah, they're teammates, but they don't rely on one another for synergistic success, right? They're exclusively mutual in their personal success, but they are part of the same team to where you talk about them as a great duo in herd history. That's pretty unique, because you talk about Pennington to Moss. It takes both of them to make that connection work. Well, it doesn't take Maston and Herring to make the connection work. They just happen to be teammates, 2 all-time greats that were teammates, but you will speak about them as an all-time great duo. Going into the show, or going into the SBC championships on the show last week, we named them. Like, this was going to happen. Wouldn't surprise me if I saw multiple. Utterly not shocked. And I think I've just been conditioned to expect it. And I don't know if that's bad or if it just shows the amount of respect and admiration that I have for them, and knowing that they will go out and achieve the way we expect them to do, because they just have for their entire careers. Those two, wow, I don't know what else you can say about them. Those two are, I think Kylie Maston, honestly, is a herd Hall of Fame athlete too. I really do. It's easier to draw that bona fide bullseye comparison to Abby because of all the records, and she just has an obscene amount of them, but so does Kylie. She has a ridiculous amount of records that she's set and broken herself. So I think you're really honestly looking at 2 all-time herd great athletes that will eventually be Marshall Hall of Famers.
And there's more. Here's podium finishes. Abby Herring, you said, thought she was going to get another. She got silver in the 10K. Micah Elaine got bronze in the 400-meter hurdles. Rebecca Merritt got silver in discus. Tyra Thomas, bronze in the 100-meter hurdles. Evan White, bronze in the 5K. Tyra Thomas tied the school record in the 100-meter hurdles while qualifying. That wasn't her third place finish that she did that, but for qualifying, she tied the school record. And you had put on Twitter she had been building to this all year. If
Yeah.
you remember, I think her first 6 meets, she was undefeated in the 60-meter hurdles.
Yeah.
She just was putting on performance after performance after performance, getting to this point. And also, we already mentioned John Purvis breaking that school shot put record that had been around for over 43 years.
Yeah. It was a really good overall successful showing for a herd track and field program. Of course, more so on the women's side.
Mm-hmm.
More podium finishes, more medals, more all of that stuff. And
Well, they've been here for a full cycle on scholarship.
And that's also what we expected.
Yeah.
We had kind of primed everybody to expect that the women were going to outpace the men because they did it in the fall, right? But the overall team finish was higher than it was before. And again, I think this is just an overall ascension of the program. We've really seen an uptick in results and records and all of it, man, just over the past season, full season, academic year. It's, I think it just leaves you to wonder, like, what will the next year hold? You know, because you are faced with now having at least one all-time great exhausting eligibility. You know, I don't know if Kylie's going to go to grad school and come back and do the, you know, the curtain call season and see what else more damage she can do. And I don't know, but you are going to be faced with replacing a perpetual all conference performer, a perpetual gold medalist, a perpetual school record breaker. So that's a huge, you know, huge void, right? But I think it does leave you to wonder, like, what will this program look like a year from now? Because we've seen such good results over the last year. I think you ought to be here for it. If you're not here for it, then I feel bad for you, because every week it feels like I talk about how easy they are to like root on and cheer for, because everybody can understand track and field. You know, it's run fast and throw far, you know, jump high, that kind of stuff. So you don't have to understand the inner workings of strategy and all that. It's run fast, jump high, throw hard. That's it. And you win. So this is the easiest, best program to follow for anyone. And they win. And we have great performers, great young performers, right? You mentioned. I think everybody should get behind them. And I'm going to say this too. I usually don't do this. If you're looking for a sport and you're like, you know what? I think I'm going to throw a little money into a championship fund. I don't know that track and field's a bad choice, because, you know, we need to throw money into some of these programs, and they're already achieving, and everybody likes a winner. So why not? You know, I'm not trying to take money out of the pockets of any other program, but they need it because we're building a program on the men's side still.
Well, I'm not telling tales out of school, as Norm Macdonald used to say. But at the end of the year last year, we had a little bit of money that we had primed for. This is going to be donated to Marshall Athletics. And we went over and said, what team really needs this? And they said, men's track and field. And that's where we put our money at the end of the year to donate a little bit. And you think about it, starting from scratch, you know, you got to have uniforms, and you got to have all this stuff. They just needed it. So it's not anything out of the realm to say, you know, if you feel like you want to donate and you want to make your biggest impact, it's probably right there. You know, you can donate to men's golf, women's golf, some of these historically underfunded or less funded, because it's not college football and it's not men's basketball and stuff like that. But if you want to make a real impact, it's a startup, rebuild from scratch men's track and field team that could probably make that dollar have the biggest impact on anything.
Yeah, and you know, we talk about terms of like $5 a month for the big green, and I know folks are like, that ain't going to help nobody, but it does. If you multiply that by 1,000 people, you know, that's $5,000 a month, you know, at a minimum,
Yeah.
Because some people are going to be in for more. But it's the same kind of deal. You might think, man, my $20 ain't going to help to a championship fund. You're wrong. It will, because it's $20 they didn't have. It's a little bit on a uniform order that has to be placed anyway,
Yeah.
So yeah, it helps. It absolutely helps. Like, damn, if somebody, if 100 people lined up and gave you $20, you'd be like, hell, that helps out a lot. Well,
Yeah.
same kind of deal. So anyway,
By the way, that is a good option. If anybody wants to
yeah.
line up and give me $20 each, I will be there for it. Let's talk about baseball here. They beat Ohio 7-4 at home on Wednesday of last week. They lost 8-5 at JMU on Friday, lost 5-3 at JMU on Saturday, and then won 11-7 at JMU on Sunday. They beat Ohio in Athens Tuesday night, 13-11 in a slugfest. Finished the season at home in a series against Coastal Carolina with games this Thursday, 6 p.m., Friday, 6 p.m., and Saturday, 1 p.m. Only thing I want to say about those three upcoming games is all three are Bark in the Park. Look and see if you want to take your pup or pups, what you need to do, but get with the ticket office so they can help you out.
Yeah, I saw that there's like a release form or something that you need to sign.
Yep.
So just make sure you do that. Don't show up at the gate with a dog thinking you're going to get in without, taking care of the particulars.
I'm sure they will still have someone there with the release forms, but if you want to expedite the process and not have to corral your dogs while you're trying to fill that out, I would get with the ticket office now.
That's all I'm saying. It's like, don't expect that you're not going to have to spend extra time at the gate when other people are also trying to get in the game.
Yeah.
So, let's please go, but, do things the right way to expedite the process for everyone. I would like to say that it was a rough series at James Madison, right? But the midweek there at Ohio, love beating those guys, always do. But can we just talk about Caden Kaiser and the game that he had?
We're going to talk about that real quick and another person real quick. But go ahead with Caden Kaiser. Last night had a grand slam, then a 3-run shot, 8 runs batted in total, and I can't remember his total stats that he did, but 8 runs on 2 home runs and another RBI. Hell of a game.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. 8 RBI is enough to grab your attention, but then you think, oh wow, you had a grand slam and another 3-run. That's have yourself a game, young man. That was a great one. And you know what? The Herd needed all of them.
Yeah, sure did. They were up 10-2 at one time, and looked like, hey, we're just going to keep piling on. And here they just kept scratching back. I think I'm remembering this correctly, that the Ohio game was either the 3rd or 4th win on the road this year, and that was it. So we had struggles on the road.
Oh, yeah.
We had a pretty good home season comparatively. At the Jack, it seemed like we were building an aura here. But struggled on the road, and we had Southern Miss on the road. We had Louisiana on the road. The schedule was already kind of stacked against you against that, but to get that James Madison win on the road, and that might have been number 3 and Ohio was number 4. It was good to get that at the end of the season to pick up a couple of road wins. The other player I wanted to talk about was making Sports Center top 10. He came in at 5th with that catch, that amazing catch out in the outfield, and he hit a couple of dingers.
Yeah, Vogelsong, that was awesome.
Yeah,
obviously I nerded out on that clip probably about 15 times. I watched it on repeat. I just love that. I love that. I'll bang that drum until I don't have a drum to bang anymore. There's nothing more beautiful than the diving outfield catch. Nothing to me. Others can argue it, but you're arguing. You might as well talk to a wall. You're not going to change my mind. That was gorgeous. Diving at the wall, diving toward the wall. That's awesome. So let's wrap it up with Coastal Carolina. Last opportunity to get out to the Jack. We'll be giving tickets away, so you can go to Bark in the Park on us if you win our tickets, all you're going to need to do is sign the freaking waiver form to get your pup into the park. So it's probably going to be, I don't know, what's the weather supposed to be like? Is it going to be decent?
No,
Okay.
that's the bad part. Saturday's a 70% chance of rain, and I don't know. They'll probably delay it from the 1 p.m. start the way it's looking right now. But I've been watching because my wife's birthday is on Saturday, so I've been trying to watch the weather, and it has changed drastically back and forth. But it keeps swinging the closer we get to it, back up to it's going to rain most of the day.
Well, still, tickets are free.
Yeah. Thursday looks good.
Okay, well, game or Friday, right? Not Thursday. So, all right. Well, if you got nothing else, then let's go.
Oh, we do.
Okay.
We just got to talk real quick. We've already covered most of it, but taking it around the herd, we're going to end up with softball. They beat number 7 Georgia State in that opening round of the Sunbelt Conference tournament, then fell to the eventual champion, second ranked and host school Texas State, 8-2 in the quarterfinals. And all I wanted to say versus what we have already discussed about those two games is that we were on that team, the eventual championship team. We were on their home field. They were second ranked coming into there, only to Louisiana, who they beat in the finals. And I think that the year that we put up, I tried to say this on Twitter, but the players that we lost, that transferred out to go with the coach to North Carolina, we start off with a first ever head coach and brings in 2 additional first-time coaches. And we lost the pitcher of Sidney Nestor that we lost. And to go into all that, and we decided we were going to have a much heavier, harder schedule, including on the road, and bringing in some of these big programs that we had to play, like Indiana and Purdue and Notre Dame. And we finished right around that 500 mark until we go down to Texas State and have to play them. I think that was a really, really good season to build on for a first year transitional kind of deal. We knew going in that last year was going to be kind of an anomaly and not what we could expect for this year, just because, you're losing, like at one point we lost our first 4 of the lineup some of the times, or the first 3 in your lineup from last year. Well, Sid Bickle returned, but she was no longer in the top of the order. Lost our entire outfield. We lost our workhorse pitcher. Just a really, really good year to build on for Coach Morgan Zirkle, to have the top rated offense in the Sun Belt Conference. It seems like a very good year that you can still be proud of with this team and build on for next year. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, I feel no need to make excuses for this team because of all the reasons you just said. I think they did the best with what they had. There were probably some games throughout the season that they could have won. They let slip away, but it wasn't going to sway the overall wins-losses record dramatically. We knew what we were up against. Morgan knew what she was up against. And now that's why we had said way back when that this season might not be a great indicator of where we could be able to go just because of what she was unable to do recruiting wise with the short time frame she had and all the things that you lost. So I think that it was a really good season. They edged into the Sun Belt Conference Championship tournament as a 10 seed and went in there and won a game. People would have not batted an eye if they would have gotten eliminated and, well, they barely got in and why wouldn't they lose? Well, they showed you that they're not the 10 seed. They played and won a game that they could have easily lost at many points throughout that game, and they didn't do it. So now you get to turn your sights to what we had been saying almost a year ago, or 4 or 5, 6 months ago. What will the next cycle look like? What will the roster start to look like? How will it be built more in Morgan's image? Okay, so I think for me personally, like the expectations ramp up a little bit for year 2, right? It was kind of, I don't want to say I was giving them a pass, because I wasn't.
Right.
I still expected some great players to play great. I still expected a lot of wins, and I still expected a lot of people to develop and be better. And a lot of players were. There was just so many other circumstances that came along where you just couldn't unfairly go, you need to match the program's output from last year. That wasn't going to happen. You know, an all-time single season program record for wins. If a lot of the pieces that departed the program via graduation or through the portal didn't do that, you might be able to say, all right, now go out and meet that expectation. It's an unfair comparison.
Mm-hmm.
But now I have to look at them and go, okay, this is not a middle of the pack team anymore. We expect to be that, 4th, 5th seed at worst in the conference tournament next year, potentially better. That's where my personal expectation goes to, even without recruiting having happened yet. So that's just where I feel about it. I think they had a great year. I couldn't be happier for players like Brooklyn and Bella, and even 1-year players like Reagan Glantz, who came in and made all-time great plays for the Herd. Abby
Mm-hmm.
Darnley had a great year. She moved up. In her development. She became someone you don't want to run on. You know what I mean? When she's catching. Bub Faringa did it in the circle and at the plate.
Mm-hmm.
Cam Hollis had a great year. Kasia Parks was a great surprise and a first-year player from the Herd coming over from Western Kentucky. There were just a lot of really good pieces that, they had to figure out who they were together.
Riley Lucas had a hell of a game in that first round game. Was on, I think, 4 for 4, but no, I think she was 4 for 4, but on all 6 times or something crazy. But she, had that injury that nagged all year long that we were talking about, and still, knocked 8 out of the park, I think, is what she ended up with. But you're right, man. Just top to bottom, a lot of stuff to build on and be proud of for this season.
Hell yeah. So now I set my expectations a little higher. That's not unfair. I think a lot of Herd fans will. So let's see what we can do with Morgan getting a full complement of recruiting time to build out a roster.
Well, that's it for Around the Herd.
Let's get out of here.
All right, so whether you see us at the Jack, whether you see us at the Dot, whether you see us at the Joan, or whether you see us humming the theme for Airwolf as we fly around the countryside, no matter where you see us, we're going to be saying, go Herd.
Go Herd. It's the ThunderCast. We will see you next week. Later.